All good over here, brother. I stayed awake during the Jets and Patriots game, so we good.
There's someone out there that didn't stay awake. I'm doing much better than that person. I said there's somebody out there that did not stay awake during the game. I'm doing much better than that person.
You're doing better than them, but they're doing better than you.
That's debatable. That's the great debate.
That's the
That's
great
the great
debate.
debate.
I like it. Well done.
I think that games like this are needed. They don't need to be in prime time, but these are the types of games that are definitely that are definitely needed to get a team rolling, a team that's still figuring things out because Aaron Rodgers didn't play all last year, didn't play during the preseason. So these are still some of the first real game reps that we're seeing from this New York Jets team. Uh, so yeah, I think they're fine, man. I just think that these games are necessary for a team to get rolling. It's unfortunate for the Patriots that they are essentially a punching bag, and they might be the punching bag in all the AFC. But tonight they were definitely a punching bag for the Jets, and the Jets needed it.
Jets definitely needed it. The defense has been playing pretty solid these first couple of weeks this season, but we've been really waiting on the offense to show up and be what we were expecting it to be with Aaron Rodgers back behind center and healthy and all of that. And so this was the first game where they definitely started to look that way. Garrett Wilson got in rhythm with them. Of course, his old buddy Alan Lazard caught his first touchdown there in MetLife. You had I lost the other guy's name they actually had a really good game. Receiver, wide receiver. Somebody
Lazar,
help me. No, not Lazard. The other guy. Lazard's not white. Um, I don't think he's white. Um,
oh, you said White. I'm
I
sorry, I
can't.
didn't.
I can't remember. I can't remember the guy's name offhand right now. But he really was kind of the go to receiver for the night. For the Jets. Conklin, yeah, Conklin. There you go. Thank you. There you go. Tyler Conklin. Is it Jeff Conklin or Tyler Conklin? Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was definitely the go-to guy tonight. Mostly because I was, obviously, of course, we saw Christian Gonzalez pretty draped over Garrett Wilson for most of the night. But Garrett did have a couple of plays. And respectfully, he is not Justin Jefferson, clearly. But that being said, it's definitely a good win for the Jets. Definitely a good way for them to kind of get going and see what they can be this season.
Yeah, I think you answered it. 0-3 is totally different from 1-3. And no matter how bad the Saints beat the Cowboys, it's still one loss. It should be two losses, and we'll be talking about that beat down the rest of the year, I'm sure. Especially if they meet up again in the playoffs, given that if Dallas makes it there. Um, but you're talking about 0-3. Now the caveat I think is none of us think the Cowboys are the best team in the East. So just to play devil's advocate a little bit, they already have a bigger hole to climb because we all think the Eagles are better than the Cowboys anyway. I think most of us do. I know at least two of us do. I forgot exactly how Jarvis had the Eagles ranked. Okay, so we're all in agreement that yeah. So right, yeah. So at the very least, the Cowboys are already in the hole, even when both teams are 0-0. So 1-3 is still a bad thing, but I think 1-3 is bad, but I think 0-3 is exponentially worse. Now the AFC North is not looking great. Pittsburgh right now is the class of the AFC North. That's not saying a whole lot. I don't think that either team losing would be the end of the world, but just imagine the media storm. Somebody's going to get it Monday morning, and I think 0-3 will be a lot worse than 1-3 in that situation.
The only part of it that really makes it even debatable is what you said near the end there, Terrence, which is that right now the Steelers are the class of the division, and I don't expect that to last. And so not only the Steelers are the class of the division, but the Ravens are 0-2. If I'm not mistaken, the Bengals are also 0-2, and the Browns are 1-1.
Right.
And so in other words, the two teams that we think are the worst are the two teams that are at the top of the division, which gives some cushion for teams like the Ravens and the Bengals. So that's the only reason this is really debatable. By the same token, if it gets to 0-3, that pressure cooker's going to get real hot for Lamar. Not necessarily to say that they're going to be looking to get rid of him, anything crazy like that. but it's going to be a rough life until you start riding that ship for sure. With Dak, even though you would have one, you'd be 1-2, you would have at least one win on the board so far this season. But if it's a situation that where the Ravens do what we expect them to do, that being run the ball, and they look as vulnerable as they did against not Green Bay. Who did they just play? Um, New Orleans. Look as vulnerable they did
Yeah,
against New Orleans. It's gonna be a lot of trouble down there in Dallas.
yeah, and Jarvis, before you take over, I will just say too, the bar is a lot higher for Lamar. Dak doesn't have to win. The Cowboys just showed that he doesn't have to win. He's already got his 231 million guarantee. He doesn't have to win. There is no pressure for Dak anymore. Giving him that contract says, hey, the pressure's gone, my guy. You can. We got all these young free agents that we got to sign, but we still signed you. There's no holdout. There is no pressure for Dak. The pressure's still on Lamar because the bar is high. He's got to win a championship to solidify his career. Dak doesn't have to do that. Being 0-3 makes it a lot harder.
Let's see what we got on this. We got a couple of games here. Of course, Patriots and Jets just closed out. Like I said, we talked about how boring or I guess necessary for the Jets that was. We've got my Eagles visiting the Saints. We've got that's at 1 o'clock on Sunday. We've we've got the Dolphins without Tua visiting the Seahawks, so that'll be interesting to see how that offense looks. We've got Detroit visiting Arizona. What's up? What you got, T?
Dolphins and Saints. Have we seen the last of Tua? I mean, Dolphins and not Saints, but just Dolphins. Have we seen
Dolphins
the
and
last of
Seahawks.
Tua?
Well, from everything I'm hearing, all indications are he wants to continue playing football. At this point, obviously he's going to go consult with the with some neurologists around the country and kind of that sort of thing. Um, I saw some varying opinions about whether he should from some former players and kind of that sort of thing. I know Randy Moss he seemed to kind of be on the side of hey, maybe you should not. Like you got to there's life after football. And then some other people are talking about how football players are wired in a way where they feel like warriors and they don't want to kind of go out this way. If they can still walk and run and see and do it now, we'll worry about later. Um, I'll say this: fortunately, as somebody that played the game, obviously not to that level, but I'm glad that I never had to come to a decision like that. I can think of maybe one or two hits I took ever that may have been concussions. Obviously, know a lot more about them now than we did then. Um, but I've never been in a position where I've had to kind of make that decision, so it'd be difficult for me to say what I think he should do. Certainly hope he sits down with his family, with the doctors, and kind of gets that figured out. And maybe figure out a way to help prevent them if he is going to continue.
Yeah, so I haven't heard this from anywhere else. This is just me seeing how this process is playing out. I think Tua is done. I think what Tua is doing now is going through the process of what he has to do to retire from medical conditions, to go through the actual. I'm sure there's paperwork, there's legalities. He's got to go through. There's a process, and I think him seeking out the neurologist, now them putting him on IR. I think that's all part of the process. I think Tua is done in football. Actually,
Wow.
I don't think we'll see him play football again.
Yeah, they said a few weeks after we first found out about it, again before the game this past Sunday, and so this past Monday, I should say. Well, really, it was Sunday when it first broke. Um, and now there's been some talk that maybe he could play this week. I don't think he's practiced to this point. Um, so that's obviously not a positive sign in that direction. If not, hopefully we're making the adjustment. From what I've seen, also we're kind of putting together two game plans: one if he is there, one if he isn't. And if he isn't, ideally we kind of put some things together that start featuring some of those other guys. And really find ways to go ahead and feed them, so that way once AJ gets back, then it's still easy to keep it spread around because you always know that option's over there. Lord forbid they leave him 1-on-1. It's a layup. So that's I don't. I mean, obviously, I would love to have him playing. If he doesn't, I've still got confidence we can go in and get the job done. It's more so about our defense than anything, being able to stop that run that the Saints showed against the Cowboys last week. So those are really the adjustments I'm looking for, even more so than the offense.
The New Orleans Saints, they've had 15 possessions and they've scored 15 times. That's that, that's crazy.
I
They've
don't
just
think all of them have been. I think like 12 or 13 of them have been touchdowns.
but either a field goal or a touchdown out of 15
Yeah,
possessions. Like, can I
I
be
mean they
their
got
punter?
92 points in the first week. So
Can I be their punter? Because they
right,
clearly, I mean that is an easy ride. That paycheck, that's the easiest paycheck in America right now.
yeah, that's two free checks.
Two free checks. Oh man, what a best job in America right now.
Yeah,
With that being said, guys, I still think, in my opinion, the Eagles are still the more physical team, and they play with just a little bit more of a physical style. I am very much happy about the matchup of Saquon and Kamara. Now that Saquon
for sure.
is on a competent, well built team as opposed to that other team he was on the first part of his career. With that being said, I am going to go with the Eagles just based on their they at least attempt to be physical, and I don't think they were. I don't think they are. I'm saying that because I don't think they are as physical as they were with Kelsey there. We saw some of those errors in the previous game where the new center was just not quite as sharp, in my opinion, as Kelsey was. Um, and you got to be really
Yeah,
good at
Jesus,
center.
he won't quit running curl routes out the snap.
You got to be really good at center for us to be talking about the center position. Kelsey was that. So they lost just a little bit of something there, but they still, at the very least, try to be physical. I'm going to go with the Eagles just based on that. I think that they're going to be it'll be close. They might win by a field goal, but I think they'll get them just based on physicality. But good luck stopping 15 possessions and 15 touchdowns. Or 15 scores, sorry.
I predict the Saints punter will have his first punt on Sunday. It is in New Orleans.
Yes.
I understand. I ain't mad at it. All right. Well, you have fun with that. Let's see. We got. All right. If you say so, we'll talk about it on Monday. All right. So past that, we actually got a number of pretty decent ones to finish out the week. We got Detroit at Arizona. We got San Francisco at Los Angeles in the Battle of the Injury Bowl. We got Kansas City at Atlanta. We got Jacksonville at Buffalo and Washington at Cincinnati. We got two Monday nighters on coming up as well. Doubleheader on Monday night. Definitely does. Definitely does. I guess, and more so back, I think, because we know more about the teams now. And so now, we're seeing Atlanta looks better than, at least against us. They look better than maybe we thought they were going to be. Los Angeles and San Francisco obviously got some injuries there, so that's not quite the game we would have thought it would have been going into it. Detroit and Arizona now looks like a better game than we would have thought before the season started. Jacksonville and Buffalo should be interesting in terms of just trying to see how true the identities we've seen of these teams so far is. And then Washington, Cincinnati, yeah, see if the Bengals can get on track. That may turn into something not unlike what we saw tonight. Also, the Packers and the
Go ahead.
Titans in the Malik Willis Bowl.
So about Atlanta and the Chiefs, what I saw from Atlanta was a good football team last week, Monday night. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't see a team that fluked into a win. I saw a good football team. They played good, solid defense. I think the offense will get better. I don't even think that Cousins is 100%. I don't, and I know for sure they're not using Kyle Pitts anywhere near as well as they could. I think they continue to improve with that because you don't even know Kyle Pitts is on the field, and he might be the most gifted tight end in all of football. I don't think he's the best, but I think he's probably got the better athletic, just the better gifts. And I'm
I
saying
can
that to
agree with that.
say I can see this being a week. that Kyle Pitts is used a lot better because everybody's going to pay attention, and they're going to even their coaches are going to say, "Hey, how can we get this guy involved?" They're going to put in plays just for him to be able to attack Kansas City's defense. I'm putting it out there right now. Upset alert. Atlanta Falcons. Dad, don't hurt me. Atlanta Falcons over Kansas City.
Kansas City usually is good for like one, maybe two that they drop that you really think they shouldn't. I don't think it's this one. Not yet. I don't think it's this one. Kansas City. Maybe a pretty decent game. Maybe be a pretty good game. Because we did see Atlanta be a little susceptible to the run against us as well. And then obviously what Kansas City can do in the passing game is different than what anybody else really can offer. So I think Kansas City pulls it off. I think they make less of the mistakes that we did, even in the absence of Isaiah Pacheco, who they definitely will miss. Just in terms of his style of running the ball and kind of the load he carries for that team. But they still got 15 on one side. They still got Chris Jones on the other, and Travis Kelce, albeit he hasn't shown up yet. This may be the Travis Kelce game. Maybe the game where he gets to get going and kind of get some touches and show up this season. So I'm
Both
taking
tight
Kansas
ends.
City, but what's that?
Both tight ends have been totally missing in action.
Absolutely, yeah. I think part of that part of it may be by design by some of the teams that they're playing against. Because obviously the Chiefs have been a tight end heavy type of offense for quite a while, at least since the departure of Tyreek Hill for sure. And so now, now they've kind of got some things out there, receivers that they like, speed guys and that sort of thing. And now that Patrick, I think, has even further matured and grown as a passer and as a quarterback, and then being able to read the defense. I think that's really kind of making a difference in terms of how teams are trying to defend them, and then how the Chiefs are able to attack it because of that. That's in Atlanta Sunday night, back to back prime time for Kirk Cousins. You think Kirk Cousins got back to back prime time performances? they don't give you one, but it ain't this one. I ain't mad at it. I don't agree with you, but I ain't mad at it. Any others y'all want to talk about that I talked about there?
I think the Lions and Cardinals might be intriguing.
I think it'd be a good one as well. I'll take Detroit to get a bounce back win because they lost last week, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I'll take them to bounce back this week against Arizona.
It's so remarkable, in my opinion, y'all. And if I'm wrong, y'all let me know how close the Titans were to legitimately being a championship team. Right? Like I think they were right on the cusp of it. And I don't know, y'all, if I've ever seen a team hustle backwards as much as the Titans have. The first cog in the story is them trading AJ Brown, and I don't think they ever recovered from that. As a matter of fact, I think they went on a direct downward spiral after that. Um, and now what are we looking at? We're looking at a team that essentially they've got to start over from scratch, completely over. Derrick Henry was the offense. He's not there anymore. That the offense was never good, but it was good because Derrick Henry was there and he was such a distraction and such a he commanded so much attention. That's over now. They drafted Malik Willis. Never, in my opinion, if I'm wrong again, let me know. I don't think they ever really gave him a shot. And now it's about to be a full circle moment again. Remember last year, AJ Brown decimated them and they fired the GM after that. Now it's about to be another full circle moment where Will Levis can come in, and I think he will put essentially the final stake in what was or what should have been, in my opinion, a possibly championship team. Now that doesn't mean they would have beat Mahomes, but I think they were on that level of what they could have. They had them in the championship game and had them down. They were that close, and they just couldn't quite finish the deal. But they went from that point to, I mean, almost there. No, I'm sorry. It was more like, just straight down. Went the opposite direction. And now we're looking at a situation Sunday where Will Levis can put the final stake in him. And I think he will.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's one other one I realized I kind of skipped over. If y'all want to say anything about it real very quickly, Texans at Vikings is also at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Like it, love it, skip it. Texans at Vikings.
Oh, I think we may have lost Jarvis. I will comment
Yeah,
on the Texans and Vikings. I mean, listen, anytime you have two teams that are 2-0, I think it means something. Because at the end of the day, somebody's going to come out of this 3-0. Oh, Jarvis, you back with us? I think we lost you for
you
one
got him back.
second there. Yep. Um, I think one team is going to come out of this 3-0. In my opinion, I think it's the Texans. I think they are better top to bottom. I think the Vikings are going to have. They're just a little bit banged up with Jeffries. He's a little banged up. So
Yeah, he's got a thigh, I think.
he's got a thigh, maybe a
Quad injury,
hamstring.
quad contusion, or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to give the nod to the Texans, man. I don't think the Vikings are in the spot where they can beat that team without him.
I don't think they're gonna be without Justin. He may be, slightly hobbled. I think it's a quad contusion, so I expect him to pretty much show up and still be who he is. Um, provided that he actually just makes it, through the game. That being said, I think I agree with you. I'll go with the Texans as well. But in a pretty damn good game.